The euro, the second most powerful currency in the world behind the dollar, a symbol of European unity and integration, which has made the continent so much poor. Wait, what? Yes, poor. For all the hype it's gotten, the euro has been an utter disaster. Before I explain, let me show you something. This is Estonia, this is Lithuania, and this is Latvia. See that huge drop in 2009? That's from the three Baltic states trying to peg their currency to the euro. It ended with a 14% drop in their economies. To give you some perspective, the economic catastrophe that was COVID only led to a 3.1% worldwide contraction in 2020. In short, something is rotten in the money of Europe. Now, time for our flashback. In the 90s, the idea of the EU being an ever closer union became ever stronger. The plan was simple. Let's make European countries as codependent as possible, make them trade as much as possible, have a common parliament and regulatory commission, and of course, use the same currency. This would ensure that European countries would never dare fight another time. But as a certain someone predicted, this could have the exact opposite effect of exacerbating political tensions. And soon enough, this came to pass. 2008 and the Great Recession was a big test for the euro, and it failed miserably. The European Central Bank, observing a huge housing and banking crisis, decided to raise interest rates in August 2008. I swear to God, the point of this video is to argue the euro is bad, but I still get sick to my stomach every time I think about how stupid this was. Just take a look at the Eurozone's GDP since 2008. Not even remotely sure why I'm recording this video when this graph exists. But okay, so yeah, the European Central Bank did a bunch of dumb stuff after 2008, but that isn't an indictment of the euro, right? The Fed also makes mistakes, but that's not an argument against the dollar existing. Really, the problem here is far more fundamental and relates to the entire reason we have monetary policy and flexible exchange rates. Imagine if France discovers a bunch of oil. This should lead to people in France becoming relatively richer compared to the people in Germany. This can easily be achieved if the exchange rate of the French currency simply gets stronger against the German currency. But what if they have the same currency? Well, then either people in search of higher incomes are going to start emigrating from Germany to France. Oh boy, we don't want that, do we? Or everyone's wages have to start increasing in France. That's much, much harder than just having a single exchange rate change. But now, dear watcher, you arrive at the point where you ask, what about the United States? What if Arkansas discovers more oil? Don't we have the same problem here? The answer is yes and no and no and yes. The same type of adjustments will have to happen in the US, but things are much easier because the US, A, has a fiscal union, meaning that you're going to collect taxes from that sweet Arkansas oil and send it to Oregon, and B, the US shares the same language and customs. It's much more likely that people start moving from Oregon to Arkansas than it is for people to start moving from Germany to France. Simply put, the United States is what economists would call an optimal currency area, while the EU, because of its lack of a fiscal union and no common language, is not. This is why those countries which refused to adopt the euro, such as Poland and Czechia, did far better during the great financial crisis than those who did. Baltic states, case in point. It is also why Greece did so terribly after it got hit by a debt crisis in the early 2010s. It kept borrowing money at low interest rates offered by the euro, but it did not have any help paying back from the EU because the EU is not a fiscal union. When they got into trouble, there was no way for them to bring out the money printer because they were a part of the Eurozone and had no control over their currency. Hell, there were even talks of them leaving the Eurozone, but EU bureaucracy dictated that it was only possible to get rid of the euro if he also left the European Union in general, and that was never happening. And as we turn the page to 2024, it's clear that political tensions in the EU are as high as ever. Starting from Marine Le Pen in France, AfD in Germany, ending with the numerous populists that have plagued Italy in recent years. The lesson here is not that the EU is bad, or that we are ruled by lizard people. The lesson here is that politicians would do well to listen when the entire economics profession disagrees with them. Otherwise, they may feel vindicated for a decade, and then regret their choices forevermore.